Hey everyone, JRO Lights here. And Zippo has manufactured their cases out of various materials throughout the year, from solid brass to gold to sterling silver to titanium to aluminum or aluminium for my UK friends. Most of which those materials were limited runs, prototypes, or just luxury designs. The basic Zippo has almost always been chrome-plated brass case. There are two specific times in Zippo history, however, where they manufactured steel cases, not because they wanted to, but because they needed to. Welcome to JRO Lights. It is well known in the Zippo community that Zippo manufactured their lighters out of steel during World War II to help preserve that brass for the war effort. Now, I'm not going to get into detail about the World War II Zippo or the black crackles in this video. That'll be another video. That is the first era of steel Zippos. That's where we first see that steel Zippo. And this is a really neat letter from George G. Blaisdell to his customers informing them that switch to steel. There's some awesome information out there regarding this, so you can pause the video and read this letter, or you can go to the links below and look up that information. After World War II in 1946, Zippo began to manufacture their lighters out of brass, again, coating them with nickel, silver, or chrome. Now, in 1952-1953, Zippo went back to manufacturing their lighters out of steel because of the Korean War. Once again, saving that brass for the war effort. And that lasted till 1954. Now, when it comes to dating these Zippos, we're going to be looking at two patent numbers for these steel lighters. I recommend when you are trying to date some of these Zippos, don't use this card. I know a lot of collectors use this card to date Zippos, and that's fine, but anything like pre-1958, it's very inaccurate. There's some better charts out there for you to narrow down some of those dates. But with some Zippos, you need to look at the insert, you need to look at the hinge, the bottom stamp. There are some specific things to look for sometimes to really narrow down those dates. Anything that's pre-1958, really just with those patent numbers, which we'll look into in just a moment. So with all that being said, let's talk about our steel cases. When you're on the hunt, when you're out at antique shops, or even looking online, how do you know if it's a steel case? Well, let's dive in. I have a couple steel cases and I have a couple regular cases, and we are going to look in to see how you can distinguish that steel from that brass case. If you're out antiquing and looking for Zippos and you don't know if they may be steel or not, well, there's some things that you can look for when it comes to that. First, we'll look at the patent numbers on the bottom. This one is 2032695. Any steel case with that patent number was probably most likely made from 1952 to mid-1953. If a steel case has the patent pending 2517191, that most likely means it was manufactured from 1953, mid-1953 to mid-1954. And once again, I'm not an expert on these dates, so if I'm off a year or even a half a year, please forgive me. Let me know in the comments if you have some additional information regarding that. That will be great. But say you're just out in the wild looking for Zippos and you don't know if that case is steel or not. Well, the simplest way is with the magnet. Now, keep in mind that insert is magnetic too. So make sure you separate that insert from the case, or just take off the top to see if the top of the case is steel or not, because you will get some pickup from that insert. Just checking, like, see, this one's moving. Well, it's not. This one is not it's not a Zippo insert anyway, but that case is not magnetic. Here's another one. Once again, the insert inside's moving it. Oh, this one is obviously steel. I mean, it got picked up Here's another one. Once again, it's moving, but that's because of the insert inside the case. The next one, this one's obviously steel. I mean, it just picked up that whole case. That's the easiest way to figure out if that case is steel or not. But I know not all the time you'll have a magnet on you. So how do you figure out if that case is steel or not? By just looking at it. One on the left is a brass, chrome-plated brass. You can see this image has just worn off over the years, and it's that orange brass-looking color. Well, this one, on the other hand, it's a lot darker. It's almost black. And the wear on this is also dark. It doesn't have that orange brass tint to it. Here's another one we'll look at. Here, this has a orange tint to it, but this is rusted. This is more rusty orange than brass orange. Orange red is that color is. Also, look on the back, you see this chrome, and it is faded off, and it's just a very dull looking gray, almost black. So that's how you can visually see if these Zippos are steel or not. Here, that's more orange, that's more brassy orange, and that's more rusty orange. But the simplest way, I've been in antique shops before, and I've not been sure if a Zippo is steel or not because it was such in great condition. So all I did was find a magnet laying around in that antique shop and tested it out and confirmed that it was steel. But I think that's so cool to think that Zippo switched to manufacturing their whole entire line of Zippos specifically to be a better business when it comes to the war efforts and to focus their attention on their country. So I've always found that fascinating. I also find it fascinating that after the Korean War, Zippo didn't go back to making steel cases. The Vietnam War or time periods in there where brass was needed, was in high demand. I know some of y'all may have been more interested in learning or seeing more about these Black Crackle Zippos. This is the steel replica 75th anniversary. Don't worry, in a few weeks we will have a World War II expert on Zippo Talk. We will go into much detail about those World War II Black Crackles. So don't worry about that. If you haven't already, like, share, and subscribe. I hope you learned something new about these steel case Zippos. This is JRO Lights. We'll see you on the next one.